So, The Alchemist. This is the book, Alchemist. So, The Alchemist is this book storyline about...
Yo!
What?
So hear me out. We're going to go ahead and continue on with The Alchemist and the takeaways and the themes and the principles that come from this book. So let's get into this. First off, go ahead and say that symbolically, we are all Santiago. And when we're living in our personal legend, we can all be alchemists. And what do I mean by that? There is something that you do that no one else can do. There's something that you do better than others. So when you're in your personal legend, and the personal legend is the thing that you are meant to do, the path that you're meant to take, when you are living that truth amongst yourself, in yourself, you can flourish. You can be the light for others. You can be an alchemist. An alchemist, by definition, is a person who transforms or creates something through seemingly magical processes, experimenter, transformer. So when you're living your truth, your personal legend, you too can be an alchemist. So that's the main theme in this whole book, is to always stay on the path that was meant for you, your personal legend. And so you got to ask yourself, what do you excel in? And then also ask yourself, the thing that you love, what's keeping you from doing it regularly? So when I did this interview with Eric McKenna a little while back, and I was discussing, my music career, I also was discussing some of the books that I was into. Here we are, right? So from that interview, it actually sparked the idea of sharing with you everything that I've learned through these books. So that turned into a personal legend of mine, a path that I wanted to take, because anybody who knows me know I get on my rants about, law of attraction and everything that accompanies that. But then I realized that I could also take the platform that I have to also tell the masses of it on a grand scale and come at you with all the things that I've learned. So that has become one of my personal legends. And obviously I do music, so that's always been my personal legend. And with music, of course, there's been obstacles. There's been certain things that I've had to, hoops I've had to jump over, a lot of failed relationships, partnerships, or just roadblocks, and just some things not working out. But when one door closes, another one opens. So I got a couple of passages here that kind of just support what I'm saying. But let's say the most important thing is that you have succeeded in discovering your personal legend. It's what you've always wanted to accomplish. Everyone, when they are young, knows what their personal legend is. At that point in their lives, everything is clear and everything is possible. They are not afraid to dream and to yearn for everything they would like to see happen to them in their lives. But as time passes, a mysterious force begins to convince them that it will be impossible for them to realize their personal legend. This mysterious force. It's a mysterious force that appears to be negative, but actually shows you how to realize your personal legend. It prepares your spirit and your will, because there is one great truth on this planet. Whoever you are and whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It is your mission on Earth. To realize one's personal legend is a person's only real obligations. All things are one. And when you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it. People are capable at any time in their lives of doing what they dream of. So that's when I ask, what do you excel in? And what is it that's keeping you from doing that regularly? So that mysterious force, you grow up and you got bills to pay and you got all these other things that life that hit you, and it seems like, you can't do the thing you want to do, but you have to overcome all those things and find time for yourself to find out what your personal legend is, to find out is what your path is, and to continue on that path. So with that being said, everything in life does have a price, but you have to persevere past the price. And when I talk about the price, it's the cost of time. It can cost you money. It can cost you sleep, lack thereof. You know, it costs you the effort. These obstacles and doors close, and like I said, other ones can open for you. But with all the things that you go through, even if it's negative, it is a learning experience. There's no failure. There's only lessons. So that is your job, to continue on to the path no matter what it costs, and just learn from all the experiences that happen to you. And don't be fearful of failing. This book says that there is only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve: the fear of failure. So like I said, there's no failure, there's only lessons. There's a theme in the book where the merchant says to Santiago, "It was written." So the passage says, people need not fear the unknown if they are capable of achieving what they need and want. We are afraid of losing what we have, whether it's our life or our possessions and property. But this fear evaporates when we understand that our life story and history of the world are written by the same hand. So you shouldn't have to worry about the outcome of everything. Just know it's already written. As long as you are focusing on what you're doing, what you need to do, everything will just fall in place the way it needs to. And don't worry about the destination, because it's written. For example, with my music, my grandfather did music, my father does music, I do music. My firstborn shows that he is really into this music. So that's 4 generations. And it just hit me one day. I like, man, I got 4 generations of music here. So it's like I was born and it was already going on, you know, so it was already written that I was doing this music. It was already happening. So by the time that I had my first son, it was written that this dude was going to do music. So I'm living our personal legend of carrying on the torch, essentially, to make sure that we are living our personal legends of music. And on further down the line, when he has kids, hopefully they also will carry on the family business. And it's one of these things where you have to use it or lose it. One of the passages says, treasure is uncovered by the force of flowing water and is buried by the same currents. And another one of these sayings that one of my mans used to say was, the same water that hardens the egg softens the potato. So what does all that mean? It means it's up to you. It means you get what you put into it. So it's up to you to do what you need to do for your goal. So there's another principle that the universe will conspire to help you. When you're working on all cylinders, please believe everything will start to fall in place. People that you meet, situations that you may come across are all there just to guide you for the path that you're on. A passage backed by that. That's the principle that governs all things. In alchemy, it's called the soul of the world. When you want something with all your heart, that's when you're closest to the soul of the world. It's always a positive force. Everything on the face of the earth has a soul, whether it's be minerals, vegetable, animal, or even just a simple thought. Everything on earth is being continuously transformed because the earth is alive. It has a soul. We are part of that soul, so we rarely recognize that it's working for us. So some phrases that they use, the soul of the world, that actually is the universal energy. In another book, the Master Key System, they actually call that the universal mind, the plane that everything is connected. Because everything is connected. And if we're talking about humans, for one, and we're not even talking about the religious aspect of it, or even scientific aspect of it, just look at the logic of it. We're all the same. We were born, we live, we die. So we're all on the same connected plane. In this book, there are themes of coincidences and synchronicity. So this is when that all comes to play, when you are connected to that universal energy and you're moving onto that path. These coincidences and then these the synchronicity of things starts to play in your favor. Like our character Santiago meets multiple people throughout his journey that guide him on to the next thing. For example, that Santiago needed to make his way to the pyramids in Egypt. It just so happens he met an Englishman who was on a caravan to Egypt. So these these coincidences are the type of things that guide you. And if you notice, there's sometimes that force, that unexplainable force that pushes you in the right place at the right time. Like when Santiago was on the ledge and was facing imminent death from the army who wanted to see him turn into an alchemist, he had to use that force in his favor. I can remember a time when we bought this van in Minnesota and we drove up to go buy it. We bought the van and we had to go across this one main bridge in Minnesota. And a week later, that same bridge totally collapsed. So that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. The force works for you. Now, something not as extreme as that is the placement of things, just the placement of people at a certain point. Back to the parallel of my own music. Take for example that me and JL, this partner that I had back in Missouri, we made tremendous strides with our music. The way we even met was in high school. We met in high school in gym class, and unbeknownst to any of us that we were, musically inclined, we just hung out, we just talked or whatever. Years later, we met again in a nightclub, and we reconnected just as friends. I was pursuing my music out there, and I met someone named Nick at this studio called 2100 Studio, and turns out Nick had a friend that rapped. The friend that rapped was JL. So when I found this out, we didn't know that we even had that same music connection, but ever since we linked up at that point, it was on. So, and even to this day, we have that relationship. Or the time I had music graphics on my car and someone noticed it and was like, yo, you do music? And we sparked this conversation. That person ended up being Andrew Harris, someone that I've kept a real tight relationship with from then till now, over 10, 15 years of just being friends and connected. Or this time that this producer by the name of Cutler Jones hit me up on YouTube because we had similar names. He hit me up and we were able to do some music together. He had a friend named TG who rapped and does music and produce or whatnot. And from that relationship spawned many songs since then, and we are to this day working. Or the fact that when I lived in Missouri doing music and wanted to pursue it, as a dream, I moved to Jersey. I took that chance, took that journey, moved to Jersey. I would be me. I met my wife out there in Jersey, and her brother does music, and we linked up, and that was a bond that we continue to have to this day. So the placement of people in your lives are for a reason. Check out this passage here. It says, "Because I don't live in either my past or my future, I'm interested only in the present. If you can concentrate always on the present, you'll be a happy man. Life will be a party for you, a grand festival, because life is the moment we're living right now." So with that being said, is you want to always just pay attention to everything that's going on in your present, the people that you meet, the things you go through, the experiences, all tie into your path. So as you see, our character Santiago was always just paying attention to his surroundings. He was very observant. He was always just looking for the omens, the coincidences. Which brings us to our next theme, observing nature, behaviors, anything and everything with a sense of wonder and awe. So you can witness the energies around you from this universe. So always just pay attention to everything that's going on around you. It's supported by this passage. One could open a book to any page or look at a person's hand. One could turn a card or watch the flight of the birds. Whatever the thing observed, one can find a connection with the experience of that moment. Actually, it wasn't that those things in themselves revealed anything at all. It's just that people looking at what was being observed around them could find a means of penetration to the soul of the world. This world is only an image and a copy of paradise. The existence of this world is simply a guarantee that there exists a world that is perfect. God created the world so that through its visible objects, men could understand his spiritual teachings and the marvels of his wisdom. You don't even have to understand the desert. All you have to do is contemplate a simple grain of sand and you will see all the marvels of his creation. There's a theme of paying it forward, give to receive. They talk about 1/10 a lot in this book. So, and if you notice that with Even when in church, when you have to give your tithes, they ask that you give 10% of your earnings. So 10% is a theme that is very common when it's talking about giving to receive. You give 10% of whatever and you get back everything full fold. There's a theme in the book called the language of the world. And the language of the world is best described as love. Like when Santiago was looking at his sheep, he always just, he gave them love. He understood their vibrations. And when you're moving in that vibration of the energy while on your path, it frees you. For example, the alchemists spent years in their laboratories exerting the fire that purified the metals. They spent so much time close to the fire that gradually they gave up the vanities of the world. They discovered that the purification of the metals had led to a purification of themselves. The boy thought about the crystal merchant. He said that it was a good thing for the boy to clean the crystal pieces so that he could free himself of negative thoughts. Or another passage explains, but the sheep had taught him something even more important, that there was a language in the world that everyone understood, a language the boy had used throughout the time that he was trying to improve things at the shop. It was the language of enthusiasm, of things accomplished with love and purpose, and as part of a search for something believed in and desired. So when you're just focused on being who you need to be, being on the path that you need to be, just the principle of enthusiasm will just free you. You won't worry about anything else but just being who you need to be and accomplishing who you need to be. And of course, there is the principle in this book of intuitions, being connected to what we call the universal mind. And when you are connected to this universal mind, this universal energy, you will have intuitions that will guide you. Passage that supports this is the universe language that deals with the past and the present of all people, hunches. The boy was beginning to understand that intuition is really a sudden immersion of the soul into the universe current of life, where the histories of all people are connected and we're able to know everything because it's all written there. So these were a few of the gems that were pulled from The Alchemist. So just be true to yourself. Pursue what you love. Don't give up. Just pay attention to everything, be mindful of everything, all the while giving love to any and everybody, paying it forward. And don't worry about the destination because it's already written in the universe. And you too then could be an alchemist in your own right. The next book that we're going to tackle is Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And as always, thank you for tuning in.